Welcome to a story unlike any other with Ingrid and Chris. Tonight we journey into the world of Echoris, where sound has mysteriously vanished, and only a young boy named Elias can unlock the secret of the silent world. This imaginative bedtime story takes us deep into a world of stillness, courage, and an unexpected harmony. Make sure to like and subscribe for more one-of-a-kind bedtime experiences. In a place far beyond the mountains of mist and the valleys of echoes, there lay a world named Echoris. It was a world where sound lived as a friend, weaving music through the wind and stories through the trees. Laughter bounced off hills, songs fluttered in the air, and even the whispers of the smallest creatures added to the grand symphony of Echoris. But one day, everything changed. Suddenly, and without warning, sound disappeared. Birds opened their beaks, but no song came out. The rivers flowed, but their usual gurgling was gone. It was as if someone had taken all the sounds of Echoris and hidden them away. The world felt empty, as if something precious had been stolen. The people of Echoris tried to speak, tried to sing, but all that came out was silence. In the heart of a small village by the lake of still waters, there lived a boy named Elias. Elias had always loved the sounds of Echoris. He would spend hours by the lake, listening to the gentle ripples of water, the rustling leaves, and the sweet songs of the birds that nested nearby. But now, as he sat by the lake, all he heard was silence. Elias knew that he could not let this stillness take over his world. He missed the songs, the laughter, the symphony that made Echoris so alive. He had to find the sounds and bring them back. With a determined heart, Elias set off towards the Whispering Woods, a place known for its secrets. His grandmother once told him that if there were any answers to be found, they would be hidden there, among the oldest trees of Echoris. The Whispering Woods were different now, with no whispers at all. The trees stood tall, their branches bare of sound. The wind blew, but it did not sing. It was a place that felt forgotten, as if it had lost its soul. But Elias did not feel fear. He felt a pull, an invitation to go deeper. After walking for what felt like hours, Elias came upon an ancient tree, larger than any he had ever seen. Its trunk was twisted with age, and at its base was a hollow, dark and mysterious. As Elias approached, he felt something, a vibration, a gentle hum, as if the tree were trying to speak without words. He knelt beside the hollow and listened closely, pressing his ear against the bark. Suddenly, a faint light emerged from the hollow, and with it, a small creature stepped out. It was a silence keeper, a being of soft, silvery glow, no taller than Elias's hand. It looked up at Elias with eyes that shimmered like moonlight and gestured for him to follow. Elias knew that this tiny creature held the answer. The silence keeper led Elias through a hidden path, deep into the heart of the forest, where the air grew thick with stillness. Finally, they arrived at a clearing, and in the middle of it was something Elias had never seen before. A crystal dome shimmering under the moonlight. Inside the dome were countless tiny orbs, each one glowing softly, and Elias knew immediately what they were. The lost sounds of Echoris, trapped and waiting to be set free. The silence keeper looked at Elias and pointed towards the crystal dome. Elias stepped closer, placing his hands on its cool, smooth surface. He could feel the vibrations of all the trapped sounds, the songs, the laughter, the whispers, everything that had been taken from Echoris. But there was something else too. A sadness, a sense of loneliness. Elias closed his eyes and took a deep breath. He thought of the lake, the laughter of his friends, the songs of the birds, and the voice of his grandmother as she told him stories at bedtime. He thought of all the beautiful sounds that made Echoris what it was, and his heart filled with warmth. He began to hum, a simple melody his grandmother used to sing to him when he was afraid. It was soft, almost inaudible, but it came from his heart. The silence keeper joined in, its glow growing brighter as it harmonized with Elias's hum. Slowly the crystal dome began to crack, tiny lines spreading across its surface. The hum grew louder, and the air around them began to change. Elias could feel it, the return of something beautiful, something alive. With a final hum, the crystal dome shattered, and the orbs within it burst into the air, each one releasing a different sound. The wind began to sing once more, the trees began to whisper, and the birds, distant at first, began to chirp their joyful songs. The sounds of Echoris were free, filling the forest, filling the world, until there was no more silence. Elias opened his eyes, tears streaming down his face. The silence keeper hovered beside him, its glow now almost as bright as the moon above. It looked at Elias, and though it did not speak, Elias understood. The keeper bowed gently before fading into the night, its task complete. Elias returned to his village, the world around him alive once more with sound. As he approached the lake of still waters, he heard it, the gentle ripple of water against the shore. The villagers were waiting for him, their eyes wide with wonder as they heard the world come alive again. Elias's grandmother stepped forward, her eyes filled with pride. "You did it, Elias," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. "You brought back the symphony of Echoris." Elias smiled, his heart swelling with joy as he listened to the world around him, a world no longer silent, but filled with the beautiful sounds of life. But Elias knew his journey was not over. The silence keeper had shown him something important, that the sounds of Echoris were fragile and needed care. So the very next morning, Elias decided to visit the neighboring village of Valhaven, where the people were known for their storytelling. He thought that perhaps they had also been affected by the silence, and maybe they too needed help. As Elias approached Valhaven, he noticed that the village was quiet, though not entirely silent. He could hear whispers, murmurs, as if the sounds were struggling to return. The villagers were gathered in the central square, their faces marked with worry. An elder named Maren stepped forward when she saw Elias. "Young Elias, we have heard of what you did for Echoris," Maren said. "But here in Valhaven, the echoes of our stories are faint and our voices are weak. Can you help us too?" Elias nodded, and he asked the villagers to gather around the great oak tree at the center of the square. He knew that stories held power, and he asked each villager to share a memory. A moment filled with sound. Slowly, the people began to speak. A mother spoke of her child's laughter. An old man recalled the songs of his youth. And Maren shared the tale of a festival long ago, filled with music and dance. As each person spoke, Elias began to hum once more, his melody weaving through the memories, giving them strength. The more they shared, the stronger the echoes became, until the square was filled with the vibrant sounds of Valhaven, laughter, song, and the joyful chatter of friends and family. The great oak tree seemed to sway with the sound, its leaves rustling as if applauding the return of the villagers' voice. The villagers cheered, their faces bright with happiness. Maren placed a hand on Elias's shoulder, her eyes filled with gratitude. "You have given us back more than sound, young one," she said. "You have given us hope." Elias spent the next few days traveling from village to village, helping the people of Echoris reclaim their sounds. He learned that sound was not just something to be heard. It was something to be shared, nurtured, and protected. He taught the children how to hum melodies that could calm their fears, and he showed the elders how to weave their stories into songs that would never be forgotten. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Elias found himself back at the lake of still waters. He sat by the shore, listening to the gentle ripple of the water, the rustling of the leaves, and the distant songs of the birds. The symphony of Echoris was alive once more, and Elias knew that as long as there were hearts willing to share their voices, the symphony would never fade. And so, Elias brought back the lost symphony, reminding us all that even in the deepest silence, there is a melody waiting to be found. If you enjoyed this journey, please like and subscribe to join us for more bedtime stories with Ingrid and Chris. Sweet dreams, little adventurers, and remember, sometimes the quietest voices hold the loudest power.